Oceanfront rental in Cape Cod. In 2019, my boyfriend Daniel and I rented a secluded oceanfront house in Cape Cod for a summer weekend. His name is Daniel, and we had been together for 6 years. The property sat right on the sand dunes, the back door practically opening to the shoreline. During the day, the beach was empty except for an occasional jogger or dog walker. Most of our time was spent sunbathing, sipping drinks, or cooling off in the backyard pool. The first night, we went out to a couple of small pubs, came back and watched a film before bed. On the second day, we repeated much of the same routine. After swimming, we sprawled out on the beach until late afternoon. As I was folding up our towels, I glanced back at the house. For a second, I could have sworn I saw a figure standing in the upstairs window, staring out at us. The sunlight made the glass hard to see through, so I wasn't certain. I pointed it out to Daniel, but by the time he looked, it was gone. He rushed back inside, checked the room, the closet, under the bed, nothing. He insisted I just imagined it. That evening, we stayed out late. When we returned around 11, none of the lights worked. The power was completely out. Too late to call the owner. We just used our phones to light the way upstairs. Daniel fell asleep quickly, but I stayed awake. That's when I saw someone walk past our open bedroom doorway. My blood ran cold. I jumped up, locked the door, and seconds later, knocking. A male voice called, "It's the property owner. I came to fix the electricity." I didn't believe it. The knocks turned into pounding, and the knob rattled furiously. Daniel woke up screaming, and I yelled at him to call 911. Suddenly, silence. Soon after, officers stormed the house through the front entrance, saying it had been left wide open. They restored the power, filed a report, and promised to alert local news. The next day, we left immediately. When I phoned the actual owner, he told me he hadn't set foot in Cape Cod for weeks. This story took place about 5 years ago when I had just finished my sophomore year. It was Independence Day, and though I was grounded by my parents, they forced me to attend our neighborhood block party. I wasn't excited until my buddy Lucas joined me. We got restless quickly, nothing but adults chatting over barbecue. Lucas then brought up Madison, the girl every guy at our school admired. She lived just a few streets over. He thought it'd be funny to prank her by ringing her door and running. As the sun dipped low, we wandered toward her house. It was large compared to the others, with no cars in the driveway and no lights on. I suggested we come back another day, but Lucas had already tested the front door. To my shock, it was unlocked. He urged me inside. Against my better judgment, I followed. The house felt unnervingly cold and dark. We split up, and after a few minutes, I heard Lucas scream. He came rushing out of what looked like Madison's room, whispering that someone had been crouched in her closet. Before I could even process it, heavy footsteps echoed in the hall outside. Then came knocking at the bathroom door where we'd hidden, followed by a man's furious yelling. The pounding intensified until I thought the wood would split. I spotted a wrench under the sink and smashed the window to escape. We tumbled into bushes, and though I hurt my ankle, we ran without looking back. Days later, guilt ate at me. I confessed to the police about breaking in. They brought me to Madison's father, who was also my orthodontist. I admitted everything but insisted that a man was hiding inside. His face turned pale as he muttered, "No one was supposed to be staying there." He chose not to press charges, but I'll never forget the terror in his voice. When I was 17, I worked at a remote summer camp in Vermont. It was my first real job away from home, and the setup was simple. Boys' cabins, girls' cabins, counselor quarters, a central hall we called the lodge, and a small bathhouse. I befriended another counselor, Mark, a few years older than me. One Friday night, we sneaked into the woods with 2 female counselors to smoke. Mid-conversation, a sharp crunch echoed nearby. Then a sudden flash of light blinded us. We assumed someone was spying. maybe a supervisor with a camera. Panicked, we scattered back to our buildings, but paranoia gnawed at me. Later, I crept into the lodge, hoping to see if staff were still awake. The office was dark and empty. That's when I heard the back door slam, the same one I'd entered. I ducked behind a wall, peeking out. A head was poking around the cafeteria doorway, watching me. I sprinted back to my dorm and told Mark. Though skeptical, he locked the entrance and told me to crash on his floor. Hours later, as I tried to sleep, a flash lit my entire room. I turned to see a figure silhouetted in my window, slowly waving. I bolted to Mark's room, nearly hysterical, but when he checked, the man was gone. The next morning, I spoke to a supervisor. She didn't call police, but allowed me to if something else happened. Nothing did, until our final day after the kids had gone home. On my window, taped neatly, were 4 photos. Me in the woods with the counselors, me sleeping in bed, me entering the lodge that night, and finally, a close-up of my license plate. I turned them over immediately. The supervisor kept them as evidence, but no one was ever caught. To this day, I don't know who stalked me that summer, or why.